over the next few minutes, you're going to hear how to help your child who is fixated on the fact that people kiss each other's privates if they are in a relationship. And welcome back to Sitting in a Car. I'm Sarah Sproul, and I sit in a car each week answering a question to help you raise your confident and caring young person who respects themselves and the people around them. So the answer to this question comes from the growth pillar of the evolved family method. Now, the growth pillar shows you how to talk to kids of any age about every single sensitive topic under the sun, basically. And it also supports having open conversations. So we talk about sensitive things in an open way, while at the same time nurturing your kids' connection with you. Inside the Evolve School, the growth pillar contains 15 different strategies. Now, layering is one of those strategies, and we're going to talk a little bit about that in this episode. Keep in mind, though, that we don't have time to go into huge amounts of detail, so I want to give you my favorite parts of it to help you get started. So let's read the whole question now, so you have as much information as I do about this question. We have a 6-year-old daughter who regularly plays with an 8-year-old girl. This friend has a much older sister who currently has a boyfriend, so we're getting the context. My daughter's friend told my daughter that when you're a boyfriend and girlfriend, you kiss each other's privates. This only came to light when I was trying to explain her female cousin has a girlfriend and they are planning to marry. This is all a lot to comprehend for her, and we are trying our best to navigate this topic. However, she is now fixated on the fact that when in a relationship, you kiss each other's privates. How best do we approach this, as I'm really not sure where to go with it, and fair enough too. It's complicated, isn't it? What you may do, if you have a question or situation like this, is try your best to navigate a conversation about this topic, right? To navigate a conversation about people kissing each other's privates. You'll be casting around trying to work out how to be honest and accurate, but at the same time, you want to bring some balance to the conversation so she can let it go and think about something else. You will most likely want to make sure she doesn't feel any shame or any embarrassment, but you will also be struggling with the topic itself. There may be a voice inside you that's saying a 6-year-old does not need to know any information about oral sex. And all that makes a lot of sense. I understand why that's your focus, because you want this to be easy for your kid, and her fixation might feel difficult and awkward. So this whole situation will be pushing you to the limits of your knowledge about how to talk with a 6-year-old about sensitive stuff related to sex. And in this case, it's to do with oral sex. Now remember, most of us were not brought up with adults who were role modeling skills that will help you in a situation like this. So what I've learned is when parents and other caring adults raising kids rely on skills and experiences that they were modeled to growing up, there's a particular effect that comes into play, and I call that the tongue-tied parent effect. It causes you to feel anxious and unsure about saying too much. You could feel frustrated that your kid found out this information from another child, and you probably feel concerned that it might simply be too much for her to comprehend right now. There could also be a niggling doubt, and you may be wondering, why didn't my 6-year-old come to me when she first found out this information? Why am I only finding out about it now when I've just started a conversation about her cousin getting married? So all those thoughts and emotions make complete sense. And you would be feeling those things because most of us haven't been shown how to simplify quite complex topics into ways that young children can understand without causing any extra effort or fear on their part. So in this episode, I'm going to show you how to help your kid who's fixated on the fact that people kiss each other's privates if they're in a relationship. Point 1, kids talk. That's normal. This situation where your kid's been told something from another kid is very common. In fact, this situation is very positive actually, because you know what she was told. She told you. Many kids will be told many things by other kids that aren't accurate at all. and those kids never ask the adults who love them to explain what they heard. Here's an example in your own life, an adult example that might help you understand this dynamic a little better. Imagine that you are having trouble, let's just choose the topic breastfeeding, for example. You are struggling with it. You need to talk to somebody and share your feelings. Who are you going to turn to for help? Are you going to talk to your friend who is talking about breastfeeding is great, it's wonderful, or the friend who is open about their struggles with latching and fatigue? I know for me, I always prefer talking to someone who has told me something about what they're struggling with, or in some way has indicated to me that they understand the complexity of the world. So the gift we can give our kids is to help them feel like they can come back and check out with us if something sounds weird or not quite right. And the way we can constantly give them permission to do that is by talking about the very subjects that we hope they will ask us about. So in this case, in your case, it's genitals, right? So you can send messages to your kid by reading books to them about bodies that mention genitals, or talking about genitals in everyday conversations. Now, that might not feel natural, but that's what we need to do when we are creating a culture in our family of being open and natural about sensitive things. We have to go first. It's complex, but it's important. Point number 2. Nobody has to do anything they don't want to do with their body, right? So we can tell our kid that some people never choose to kiss someone else's privates and never want someone to kiss theirs. Now, oftentimes kids will have such shocked reactions to things they hear because they can't imagine ever wanting to be okay with that particular thing. And in this case, it's someone else's mouth on their private parts. And that's exactly right. Their reaction is exactly right. They should feel like that because all this stuff is not for kids. This activity is not for kids. So we can bring those feelings to light, our kids' feelings of, ooh, that sounds weird, and remind them that lots of people never do this thing. Because that's true, isn't it? A lot of people never have anything to do with oral sex. And we can remember, or we can remind them that they will never have to do it. And kids should never do it because it's not for kids, it's only for grown-ups. And you can start a whole conversation about consent. You could even mention that many kids don't know that genitals are just for them and that nobody should be touching them except themselves or maybe a parent if they need extra help. So make sure you name the emotions that might be coming up for your 6-year-old now that they have this information, and absolutely have conversations about consent that aren't heavy and focused on negatives, but more filled with positive intent, that we get to choose what happens to our body and nobody gets to do things to us that we don't want to do. And that is exactly right. Point number 3, you can have a broader conversation about what sex is, and that doesn't really matter what sort of genitals people have. So when people want to feel close and feel pleasure with someone else, they need to work out what they would like to do for each other and with each other. They get to work out if there's something about their body and their partner's body that they would like to share. Now, this conversation is important because it's bringing diversity into the conversations that we have about what sort of relationships people have, what sort of relationships are possible, and what sort of choices we get to make when we're much older. We can add that not every person wants to share their genitals with someone else's mouth. We all get to choose. And oftentimes, the way we feel about sharing our body will feel different for each person we get close to. So if your 6-year-old has heard that when you're in a relationship with someone, you kiss each other's genitals, well, that's strictly speaking inaccurate. Because when we're in a relationship with all sorts of people, there's absolutely zero kissing of genitals. Here's an analogy that might help you have the conversation like this. It's just like you play different games with different friends. You might have a friend you play running games with in the playground. You might have another friend you go swimming with. So when we become adults, sharing our body with someone else that we trust the most and we feel attracted to in some way can sometimes lead to sharing our genitals that makes us feel nice. And they might share their genitals in a way with us that makes them feel nice. And that will be different for every single relationship that we have. There are lots of different ways that we share our body with other people. And there are lots of different places on and in our body that feel nice. There is zero pressure, basically, to do anything at all, just because someone told you that that's what you do when you're in a relationship. So if you would like to learn the complete evolved family method that helps parents and other caring adults manage feelings of awkwardness while talking about quite complex details about bodies and sexuality, click the link somewhere around this episode or the link in my bio, and I can let you know when the Evolve School opens next, because that's where you learn how to do that. And that's sitting in a car for another week, where I've answered a question to help you raise your confident and caring young person who respects themselves and the people around them. Bye for now. Annoyed. Oops. Itchy eye. That's wrong. Go back. Start again. Doing another bit first.